Hi, everyone. Welcome. Today I've got Jack Canfield on the line with me. This is Dina Proctor, author of Madly Chasing Peace, How I Went From Hell to Happy in 9 Minutes a Day. And Jack is, you probably know him as co-author of the majorly successful Chicken Soup for the Soul series, author of The Success Principles, and one of the major thought leaders alive today on this planet. Jack, you're here. Thank you for joining me.
My pleasure, Dina. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, of course. Really excited. So let's get right to it since we've only got about 9 minutes. The first question that I want to ask you is to share, an example of a story from your life where you can see that a meditation or visualization process that you did manifested something physical in your reality. I'm sure you have a bunch of stories. I'd love if you'd share one for listeners.
Well, the famous story that I talk about in the movie The Secret is my $100,000 story where I was making I think I was making about $8,000 a year. And my mentor, W. Clement Stone, who was a friend of Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich, said, I want you to set a goal that's so big that if you achieve it, you'll know it's only because of the things I've taught you to do, one of which was visualization. And so I set a goal to make $100,000 a year, which seemed ridiculous to me at the time. But I thought, well, I'll do it, and I'll use the principles and practice the technique. And so I started visualizing having a $100,000 a year income. And long story short, that year I published a book. I started selling a book I already had and really got on the bandwagon of realizing if I could sell 33,000 books, if I had my own bookstore and selling the book and making $3 a book, I could make $100,000 a year. So this idea came to me when I was in the shower after visualization, after 30 days of doing this nonstop, which I teach the daily discipline of. It's very important. And so I came up with a bunch of ideas over that period of time, and I didn't make $100,000. I made $93,238.38, something like that. But I wasn't very disappointed because I had 12 times my income in 1 year. And then my other great story about meditation was when I was trying to come up with a title for this book of stories I collected. I didn't have a title. And so I decided to meditate and ask, higher power for a title. And on the third day, I saw this hand come out and write chicken soup on the chalkboard. And I said to the hand, well, what does chicken soup have to do with this book? Said, well, when you were sick, your grandmother gave you chicken soup when as a child, when you were sick. And I thought, well, this is not a book about sick people. And the voice said, people's spirits are sick. They're living in resignation, hopelessness, and fear. And so I went, chicken soup for the spirit. And then I just had this thought, chicken soup for the soul. I got goosebumps. I told my wife, she got goosebumps. I called Mark Victor Hansen, he got goosebumps. And that became the title of a book, which then turned into a series with over 225 books, and it became a brand, which is today worth at least $100 million. And that is the result of simply going into meditation and then sitting still for something deeper to arise from my subconscious or higher consciousness, or you could say God, the universe, source energy, however you want to hold it.
I love that. Those are such good examples. What I want to dig a little bit deeper is, did you notice anything, like while you were doing the visualization? Because I found that it's important for me when I'm doing a visualization to actually feel like I've already achieved it, like the emotion that I hold while I'm picturing the image in my mind. Have you noticed a correlation with that or importance to that at all?
Yeah, in fact, I think it's actually the feeling as much as the visualization. I always say the visualization is the destination. The feeling is the fuel that powers the car that gets you there. So a car has to have a driver. That's you. You have to steer the car in the direction you want to go. That's your goal, your visualization of that goal. But then the foot on the gas pedal is your emotions. That's what really activates the law of attraction and, in a sense, kind of amps up the power of it. So it turbocharges the visualization.
Okay, right. And that, in my experience, is what makes it a little bit easier to let go of the how things are going to come up. And it's like when you're in that relaxed state, that's when those inspired ideas, like seeing chicken soup on the chalkboard, rather than, just kind of dismissing that, like, that's weird and dumb, to open your mind and just consider, like, wait, there's got to be something there, just to have that relaxed, almost a curiosity about what might arise, don't you think?
Well, it's like you can't watch television unless you turn it on. And so, we always say that, television only works if it's plugged into the wall. It's got to get electricity. We only work when we're plugged into our source of energy, which is spirit. And so, you never know. I always call you sit in meditation with the expectation that something good's going to happen, but it may not happen today. Just like, you go out on a date and it may not be a great date, but if you don't go out on any dates, you're never going to meet the person you want to fall in love with. So basically, the idea for me with meditation is to create a space of silence within which something can arise, like the title for Chicken Soup for the Soul. If I had never gone inside and been quiet, I don't think that title would have ever come to me. As I said, that title has changed my life.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's such a profound example of how simple, it can just be the simplest thing. It can turn into something just ginormous,
Mm-hmm.
So, Jack, do you have any suggestions? Because I know that a lot of people listening in are probably, beginner, haven't quite gotten the knack of the visualization or meditation, creating something in their lives. Is there a first step or, like a starting point that you would recommend for people that haven't yet experienced the power of it yet?
Well, I think, when you first start, it's valuable to kind of get your environment safe, meaning turn the phone off, draw the drapes, get it calm. If you find it hard to focus, I think, music in the background that's not like without words, classical music that's quiet, or what they call environmental or new age music, is always helpful for me. And then I think deep breathing exercises, just really breathing in as hard, as full as you can, and then breathing out as long as you can, forcing all the air out. Some people say 3 breaths, some people say 8 breaths. But the point is, the breathing is, you breathe without thinking, and then you can also take control of your breathing. So it's a way to connect with your autonomic nervous system, which relaxes you. And then I think, finding a place where you're comfortable. I can't sit cross-legged because I broke my knee skiing one year, but I can sit in a chair comfortably and make sure that, I'm comfortably warm. I usually put a blanket around my shoulders. And then it's a matter of just allowing your mind to focus on one thing, whether it's the sensation of the air coming out through your nose and coming in, warmer coming out, colder coming in, or whether it's a mantra like Alleluia or Om Namah Shivaya, or whether it's a thought like, I'm sitting here focusing on a blank screen waiting for a title for my book. That focus on something, or a visualization of your goal. If your goal is to have a $100,000 income, visualize what it would look like and feel like. And when your mind wanders, the big thing, most people think, I can't do it, my mind wanders. Well, then just bring it back. Most people think they're failing, but that's called the practice of meditation. We say we're practicing meditation because we are practicing. You get better at it over time. And so for me, I use this metaphor of standing on the side of a river watching boats go by, and just being quiet and still and seeing what arises into consciousness. The trick is, don't get on one of the boats. And if you find yourself on the boat wondering, what am I going to have for dinner, what am I going to do about my son's grades, then get off the boat, go back to the shore, and then either focus on that one thought or allow yourself to just be quiet and just let anything arise into consciousness, because that's where the creativity comes from.
Yeah, I think that's so important that you mentioned that, because a lot of people struggle with, what happens if thoughts arise and that sort of thing. But you're right. I mean, the less attention and resistance that you give them, the less they're going to arise in the first place, I've found.
Yeah, and if you think you're trying to stop your thoughts, then your thoughts and you are in a battle. It's just, for me, it's allowing the thoughts just to go by. And then eventually you get deeper and deeper thoughts, more powerful. For me, when I start, usually it's all the things I didn't do I should have done. I didn't call my son, and need to call, whatever. And after those thoughts kind of fade away, then you get deeper thoughts and deeper thoughts and deeper thoughts. So the longer you meditate, meaning over years of time, or the longer you meditate, meaning sitting for 10 minutes versus 3 minutes, that gives opportunity. Or in your case, with what you're teaching, if you do meditation 3 minutes 3 times a day, when you get to that third 3 minutes, it's much more likely that something profound will occur.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Jack, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for taking these 9 minutes and sharing your stories and your wisdom with listeners here. And I wish you the very best in the new year to come.
My pleasure, Dina. And to everyone, have a wonderful, successful, abundant, peaceful, joyful year.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. This is Dina Proctor, author of Madly Chasing Peace, How I Went from Hell to Happy in 9 minutes a day. And today, for my bonus launch interview, I've got with me Bob Proctor, his website, bobproctor.com, ultimate guru, star of the movie The Secret, and manifestor extraordinaire. Hi, Bob. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining me.
It's my pleasure.
Just for anyone wondering, Bob and I are not related, though we probably should be. We have a lot in common.
I gave Dean a book, and I said, same father, no relation.
We've got the same father, no relation. That's exactly right. So funny. So, Bob, I wanted to have you on today because you're such a thought leader and literally a guru in the power of our minds, our thoughts, and emotions, just getting the internal world lined up so that we can create concrete manifestations and results in our lives. And it's not magical thinking. It's not anything, there's a real process to this. And I wanted, to have you share in our 9 minutes together a little bit about, how you came to realize this and what you've been able to create in your life from this knowledge.
Well, what I've studied and what I learned is taught in very few places. I was in Toronto. I was in the fire department in a suburb of Toronto. And this is in 1961. And a man gave me Think and Grow Rich and suggested that I could do anything I really wanted to do. Now, I was earning $4,000 a year at the time. I owed $6,000. I was not a happy camper. I didn't have a good work record. I had 2 months high school. I mean, I didn't have much going for me, to tell you the truth. And he said, that's why you can't win. And he started to ask me what I wanted. And then he said, listen, if you do exactly what I tell you, and I don't know why, but I did. 1 year later, I was earning $175 a year, and then I took it over $1 million. Now, I did that washing floors. I started washing one floor, just doing anything extra to earn some extra money. I ended up cleaning floors in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, and London, England, and doing a lot of business. And, when things like that happen to you, it's very nice, and you certainly enjoy the win. But I was more puzzled by the win than I did enjoy it. I couldn't figure out, what I had done that was so different. There were a lot of people cleaning floors, but they weren't doing what I was doing. There was a lot of people I'd read Think and Grow Rich, and they weren't doing what I was doing. And I'd been raised to believe if you're going to earn a lot of money, you've got to be really smart. Well, I was earning a lot of money, and I knew I wasn't that smart. And I had been raised to believe if you're going to build a business, you have to have a good formal education. I had 2 months high school. And so I made up my mind I was going to find out what happened to me. It took me 9 years, and I figured it out. And then I've been teaching it now for 45 years. And I teach it all over the world. You and I are conditioned, and that conditioning runs very deep. It's genetic and environmental. And we form what's called a paradigm. Now, you hear people talking about it, but I would question how they really understand it. It's right into our genes. And if we're going to change our life, just reading a book isn't going to do it. You're just going to a seminar, listening to a series of cassettes. You've got to really understand. Understanding is the key. That's what Solomon said. In all you're getting, get understanding. You've got to understand why you're doing what you're doing and why you're not doing what you want to do, because most people are doing what they don't want to do. It's giving them results they don't want to get, and they do it anyway. Well, I put together a program, and I've been teaching it now for a long time. And I found that most successful people cannot articulate on why they are. Big corporations, like I've gone to work for United States Steel, Prudential of America, Malaysia Airlines, they don't know why their top people are top people. And it's just put down, well, they're smart. Well, some of them aren't that smart. And you're going to find people that are absolutely brilliant, that are earning millions of dollars, and you'll find others that are functionally illiterate who they're doing phenomenal. They're earning millions, and the wealthy people, a lot of wealthy people, or a lot of brilliant people are broke. So we have to realize it's not formal education. It's not where you came from or your background. It's what's going on in your own mind. And if you don't like the way you're living, you can change it. And that's what this 9-minute program is about. And if you just keep using this, you probably have lots of questions and lots of doubts in your mind. Oh, will it really work? It will really work. Winter never follows winter. Everything happens by law. And by using this, exactly the way Dean is mentioning, I guarantee you'll change your life and you'll start moving in the direction you want to move.
Thank you for saying that, Bob. It's a huge compliment to me, and it's really true because I've manifested so much out of just my little 3x3 meditation process. So for listeners who've never, harnessed the power of thought, mind, focus, visualization, what would be something that you could tell them? They could start my 3x3 meditation process or, visualization. Is there any a step one or a starting point or a real turning key that would be of value to people listening on here that you could mention?
Sure. Take a period of time. I don't care if it's a year or 3 months, 9 months, and say, this is what I want to accomplish in the next 9 months. Write it out in present tense and read it every day. And you can only think of how you can do it. You're not permitted to think of why you can't. And if you will do that, you're going to find ideas start to flow into your mind that'll move you in the direction you want to go. Now think of this for a moment. Thought energy is the most potent form of energy there is. Thought is energy. Thought waves are more potent than the laser beam. Thought waves are cosmic waves that penetrate all time and space. Now, if you have trouble understanding this, if I took and I put an email address or a message in my smartphone and I hit send, that message is omnipresent. It's as much evenly present in New York as it is in New Guinea. It's omnipresent. And wherever the person is, they will get that message. Well, it's the same with thought. The only thing that stops a thought is that which resonates with that thought. Thought energy is powerful. Consider this for a moment. All the little creatures on the planet are totally comfortable at home in their environment. You and I are the only creature on the planet that's totally disoriented in our environment. And that is because we've been given the faculty of thought, imagination, perception, the will, intuition, and reason, and we can create our own environment. And if you don't like the way you're living, try this. I guarantee you, in 6 months, 9 months, if it doesn't work, you'll have your misery refunded. You can't lose with this system. This is how you're programmed in the first place, and this is how you'll be changed.
So amazing. It really is the power of lining up on the inside so that, and the outside is just the reflection of what's going on internally, wouldn't you say?
Well, absolutely. James Allen, in a little book, As a Man Thinketh, he said, we think in secret, and it comes to pass. Environment is but our looking glass. Our problem is we're afraid to go after what we want. What's his name? The mythology guy. He said, the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure that we seek. Don't be afraid to step out. Get out of the box. Go in the direction of your dreams. And if it's scary, you know you're on the right track. If you're real comfortable with it, you're probably going sideways. You're just repeating what you've already done.
Mm-hmm. One of the most powerful things I've heard you say is if your goal doesn't scare you, it's probably not big enough, something along those lines.
Well, that's
really
exactly
powerful.
right. Your goal should scare and excite you at the same time. And if it doesn't scare you, it definitely isn't big enough. I was doing a call this morning, and I suggested that if everybody that's really set their goals for 2013, take a look at them, and I said increase them by 10, 25, 50, maybe 100%. Really stretch. Carlyle said, when your mind's expanded by a big idea, it'll never go back to its original shape. Listen, I have no formal education. I have no business. Well, I've got quite a bit of business experience now because I've been in business for a long time. But I earn millions of dollars a year. I was being interviewed for a magazine out of L.A. here a while ago, and the person who was interviewing me asked me when it got around to talking about money, said, what's the most difficult thing you had to learn about earning money? And I thought about it for a minute. I said, how easy it is. Earning money is easy. Earning money is a game. Most people think it's difficult, and they make it difficult. Most people honestly believe you go to work to earn money. Working is the worst way to earn money. You should go to work for satisfaction. You should spend your days doing what you absolutely love doing. You earn money by providing service. And you can be providing service when you're sleeping. I am. I've got websites going all over the world. I can earn more money when I'm sleeping than I can spend when I'm awake. We're playing a game, and it's a fascinating game. and you really want to get in it. And if your mind's saying, this won't work, that's the old paradigm that's talking to you. If your way's not working, try this one.
So amazing, Bob. I so appreciate we're at our 9-minute mark. I really appreciate you taking the time and hope that everyone listening gets tons of value from this, because your wisdom and brilliance is just shining right through right now. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Listen to these over and over and over and over again. You cannot listen too often. Repetition is the first law of learning. Thank you, Dana.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Bob. Take care. Bye-bye now. Welcome to my bonus interview for my book launch with Arielle Ford. She's joining me today to talk about her unique practice. The whole idea I had with these approximately 9-minute interviews was to bring on some major thought leaders of our time to talk about different ways that they use for themselves and the people that they uplift and inspire to connect within their own, to connect to their own highest calling, their own highest truth. So I brought Arielle today because I know that she's considered one of the main thought leaders of our time, and she has a really unique process called feelingization. So Arielle, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, happy to be here.
I really appreciate it. So I wanted to just kind of have you introduce how you came up with the idea of feelingizations and, how you've used that for results in your own life and shared it with others and seen results in their own lives too.
Oh, okay. After the movie The Secret came out, I started hearing from so many people that they were very intrigued by law of attraction, and they tried to follow what they learned in the movie, but it wasn't working for them. And I realized that they left out what I call the secret sauce, the thing that really makes law of attraction work, which is the emotional component. Because you can visualize inside your head all of you want, as long as you want for the things that you desire. But if you're not feeling in every cell of your body that what you've asked for is already yours, you can't have it. Because we draw to us the people, places, and things that match our experience. So if we're in a state, let's say, oh, I really want to find the love of my life. What's missing is love. I'm missing romance. Your feeling state is that of missing, and the only thing that you can attract to yourself is more of the feeling of missing. So I created what I call feelingizations to put yourself into a process that takes you from your head to your heart so you can get into the feeling state of having love, because we've all experienced love in our lives, so I want to bring people back to love. So the way that I do it is I start with what's called a heart lock-in, and this is a process that was developed by the geniuses at the Institute of Heart Math. It's a research and development and think tank group in Northern California that has studied the intelligence of the heart, and they have found scientifically that when you're feeling states of love, appreciation, and gratitude, you actually increase your electrical magnetism, you increase your well-being and your health and your immune system, and it does all these really good things for you. So I invented this word called feelingization, and I take people through a closed-eyes process where we go from your head to your heart and end up with our attention focused on the area around our heart where we actually experience love, appreciation, and gratitude. And once we're in that state, and the heart math people call this heart coherence, then we drop in the desires, and we actually get to feel in present moment awareness that what we're asking for is ours right now in this very second. Because when you can be present to what you most desire, it's on the way to you. Does that make sense?
Oh my gosh, I think that's beautifully said. It's so funny because when I, was going through the process, I was, at a horrible rock bottom in my life a few years ago, and coming out of that and, realizing this 3x3 meditation that I do, I didn't recognize, I kind of figured it out. It was almost like it was shown to me as I needed it to be shown to me rather than I was taught it or figured it out. But I came to realize that as soon as I felt like I had already achieved something, as soon as I'd already felt like I had healed from addiction or I had lost that weight, that it became my experience. It almost, just within days or weeks, it's like a switch flipped in my mind where I just felt like I had already achieved it, and then it became my physical reality. And it sounds like that's really similar to,
That's exactly it, because then you can be in a state of gratitude. I'm so grateful that I've lost the weight. I'm so grateful that I'm with the love of my life. I'm so grateful that I've landed this new position that I've been seeking. So when you're in this place of gratitude for what is already yours, even though you may not be able to physically touch it yet, that's when you can draw it to you.
It's so amazing. And you know what, Ariel? It's so simple. It's such a simple process. And I think that people often overlook it because it's not like you have to take all this action and, in order to achieve these things, you've got to line it up internally first, get the emotions in line first, and then the inspired action or the inspired people to connect with or steps to take, it's almost like they surface and are shown to you, and you have this internal motivation to take the action rather than having to use willpower and kind of get it done anyway type of thing, right?
Yeah, and the other thing that trips people up is because they can't figure out how they're going to make it happen, they think it can't happen. So they're like, well, how could I imagine finding the love of my life if my belief is I'm too old, I'm too fat, I'm too damaged, all the good ones are taken, that sort of thing. So they get stuck in their mind, which is why in a feelingization we leave the mind completely and drop down into the heart, and then we re-experience love and appreciation and gratitude. So it's a simple process, but for some people they try to intellectualize it, and that's where they get stuck.
Even just hearing you as you describe it, I can feel my heart area kind of warming. I just feel that resonance with it. It's really great. So do you have any, I know we only have it's a short little interview and there's not enough time to explain the whole process, but for people who haven't experienced it, is there, a starting place or a way that people could try it and just kind of get the hang of it or get the gist of it? Is there like an intro way that, I'd love for you to share that.
If you go to my website, soulmatesecret.com, there's a tab on there that says free stuff. Just go into free stuff and you can access some various different feelingizations and go through the process. They're very short. They're 2 to 8 minutes each. So after you do one, you'll actually have the experience and know how to do it yourself. But they're very simple to learn.
Okay, that's awesome. It's really great. And because I know you have immense, you're really known for the soulmate secret and drawing in the love. Is there other things that you've used feelingizations for that you've gotten concrete results for in your life that you know that it's because of this process that this success has happened for you?
Oh, I use it every day for everything. So I can use a feelingization just to shift the mood I'm in. So if I'm in a place of frustration or anxiety or worry, and that's what's going on in my head, then I'll do some nice deep breathing. I'll start to focus my attention on the area around my heart, and then I'll allow myself to remember a time when I felt gratitude. And it could be gratitude for anything. It could be as simple as, gratitude that I have fresh water to drink. And with my attention on my heart, I remember and re-experience these feelings of gratitude. So now my attention is off of worry and anxiety. I'm dropping back into a present moment experience of gratitude. And then I can say, and I am also grateful for the lessons that I'm learning from this frustration. And I bless it and I release it, and then I go back to feelings of appreciation. And then I ask myself to remember and experience feelings of love. And so when I go from this high anxiety, stressed out state to this quieter state with my attention on my heart, re-experiencing love, appreciation, and gratitude, it totally shifts my whole being. And then when I come back up to present moment awareness, I'm different.
It's so beautifully said and so beautifully described. You can just tell that this is something that you're experiencing regularly. So that it's truly amazing, and I'm so glad that you shared that website. So it's let's just share it again. So it's soulmatesecret.com/free stuff.
No, you just go to soulmatesecret.com and you'll find on there the tab called Free Stuff.
Okay, and click on that tab and people can experience the process for themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this is absolutely amazing, Ariel. I really appreciate you taking the time and sharing something of total value with the listeners here. It's really amazing. I really appreciate you, and I'm so much gratitude right now.
Welcome. Well, good luck with your book.
Okay, really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.